Alright, so today for our notes, we are going to cover our whole statistics unit, scatterplots, and frequency tables. You guys should already know how to do scatterplots. All it is you're taking your independent and dependent variables and you are plotting these points. So for instance, this first point would be 18 characters and 3.6 seconds. So then you go to 18 and then put a dot at 3.6. Go ahead, you can pause the video, fill in the rest of this scatterplot using the data below. All right, so here I have plotted all the points from our scatter plot. Now, I want you to draw what is called the line of best fit. Okay, now line of best fit is exactly what it sounds like. It is a straight line, so one straight line that goes through or follows the trend of the data as best as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take out my ruler. You can use a piece of paper, you can use anything else. Now I am going to follow the general trend of the data. Now I see that most of my data is right here on my screen, and it looks like it gradually kind of goes, it slopes over. But remember, we want it to be a straight line. We want it to be a linear pattern. So I'm just going to go ahead and I want to try to draw it through as many points as possible. It looks like 2 points will be all that is possible for me. Okay, and remember, you're just trying to follow the general trend of the data. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw my line. I'm going to extend it past the coordinate grid. Okay, just so that it can help us predict future models. Now, here is one line of best fit that you could do. And let's go ahead and let's calculate the slope of the line of best fit. Okay, so all you're going to do is then you're going to take 2 points from the line of best fit and you're just going to plug them right into that table right there. So let's see, I have, let's see, this one was at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This one was at 10, 1.9. So down here I would write 10, 10, and 1.9. And then another point is, it looks like it's 28 and 4.4. All you do then is you find the slope, delta y over delta x. So it looks like I've increased by 2.5 on my y values, on my dependent variables, and it looks like I've increased 18 on my x variables. So I'd go ahead and I'd put that in here. So what is the meaning of the slope? It means that we increase, or that it takes us 2.5 seconds per 18 words. Okay, if you want to find the unit rate, you can go ahead and do that. In this case, it would take us 0.139. I'm just going to round. Or in this case, it would take us about 0.139 seconds per word to type. Okay, now what is the y-intercept of our line? So for this, I'm going to have to go up, and we have to come up with our y-intercept. So it looks like it crosses for me almost exactly at 0.5. So the y-intercept of my line is 0.5 seconds. What is the meaning? Well, that means that we type 0.5, or that it takes us 0.5 seconds for 0 words typed. That means that it takes us half a second just to get our phone out, to log on to our phone or whatever, to unlock our phone and then open the messaging app. So 7, what is the equation for our line? At this point, we'll just take our slope and then our, so I'm just going to go ahead, I'm just going to take my unit rate slope, and I'm going to take my y-intercept, and I'm going to create an equation from them. Y equals my slope, 0.139 x plus 0.5. Okay, so now using our equation, we're going to find the time needed to take it or to text a message of 50 characters. Okay, this is why I love equations, because you can use them to predict how long it'll take you to do things, especially if you've already timed them. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to take my slope times by 50 characters plus 0.5. Okay, so it's going to take me about 7.45 seconds to type this. Okay, now what about for 140 characters? Well, I'll just type in my work down here. So 0.139, but for our independent variable, we're typing in 140 characters. Okay, and I get that it's going to take me, let's see, 0.139 times 0.139 times 140. There we go. It's going to take me 19.96 seconds about. I'm just going to put an S for seconds. Okay, and then for 200 characters, again, I just write out my equation. And I find out that's going to take me about 28.3 seconds. Okay, now that's it for scatter plots. Now we're going to move on to frequency tables. And you've probably used frequency tables before. So there's this little scenario. Emma goes to her farmer's market, or anyway, and so she wants to take this survey of people who shop at the grocery store, farmer's market, and home garden, and whether they like tomatoes or dislike tomatoes. Okay, and these are the questions that she asks them. Here are her results. All we're going to do is part A, we're going to fill in the frequencies. So 50 plus 4 plus 12, that is, let's see, 62 plus 4, which is 66. Go on ahead and fill in the totals. And she interviewed 100 people. All right, so once you have the frequencies filled in, check to make sure that you found the above frequencies correctly by finding the total number of people surveyed. So I go up here, she decides to survey 100 randomly selected Salt Lake City residents, okay? And then I look down here, this column over here is the total number of people surveyed, so yes, this is correct. Part C, how many people get their tomatoes at the farmer's market and dislike tomatoes. Okay, this keyword and, that means that this number will have to satisfy both the people getting their tomatoes at the farmer's market and that they dislike tomatoes. So they go to the farmer's market and they dislike tomatoes. One person. D, how many people get their tomatoes from a home garden and like tomatoes? So then you go to home garden, they like tomatoes, that is 12. How many people get their tomatoes from the grocery store? This time, do you see how it only had one variable that we were looking for? So they wanted to get tomatoes from the grocery store. It didn't say anything about liking or disliking, so you're just going to go to grocery store, go all the way down to the bottom, and that is the total number of people who get their tomatoes at the grocery store. Now, how many people like tomatoes? Over here, you're going to look at this variable that they like tomatoes. You're going to follow it all the way over. 66 people like tomatoes. Okay, now let's go ahead and fill in our own. So use the given information to complete the two-way frequency table about the eating habits of 595 students at Copper Ridge Middle School. So right away, I know that my total is 595. Now there are 190 male students, okay, that eat breakfast regularly. out of 320 total males surveyed. So under male, I know that there are a total of 320, and that of those 320 males, 190 eat breakfast regularly. Now, 295, students do not eat breakfast regularly. So then I'm going to go down to do not eat breakfast regularly. I'm going to follow all the way over. I know that this is 295. And then it says that 165 females do not eat breakfast regularly. So it has to satisfy both the female and do not eat breakfast regularly variables. And that is 165. Okay, go ahead now. You can use a calculator. You can use whatever you need to fill in these missing values. So it looks like this will be 130. This one is, let's see, 595 minus 320. That is 275. Just go ahead and you fill in the missing values that you know. This will be 300. Okay, because 300 plus 295 equals 595. And then for eating breakfast regularly, that will be 110. So how many females total were surveyed? Go ahead, go down to the females column, 275 females. How many people surveyed eat breakfast regularly? Okay, so how many of the total people eat breakfast regularly? 300. How many people total were surveyed? 595. And how many males do not eat breakfast regularly? Male, do not eat breakfast regularly, 130. Okay, so you can go ahead, just answer these questions really quick. How many females surveyed? So female, they eat breakfast regularly, is 110. Now this is where it gets a little different, and this will be on your quiz, okay? What percentage of the total number of people surveyed eat breakfast regularly? So remember, anytime I look for a percentage, that is a part-whole relationship, okay? So remember, the whole is the total number of people, okay, that I'm surveying, and the part is how many of them eat breakfast. So let's go ahead and find that out. Okay, so I've surveyed a total of 595 students, and it looks like 300 of them eat breakfast regularly. Now we can simplify that if we want. I know that 595 is divisible by 5, so then that is 119. I know 300 is also divisible by 5, and that is 60. Okay, so you can simplify that if you want, or you can just keep it this way. However, it does want the percentage, so eventually I want you to simplify it into a percentage, which if you type in 300 divided by 595, that is about 50.4%. You only need to go out to the tenths place. Okay, let's go ahead and do the second one. What percentage of the females surveyed eat breakfast regularly? Remember, this is the part-whole relationship. The whole is asking what percentage of the females surveyed. So the whole is the females that are being surveyed. So out of the females that are surveyed, how many of them eat breakfast regularly? So let's see how many females were surveyed. There were a total of 275 females. How many of them ate breakfast regularly? 110. Okay, just take 110 divided by 275. We get 40%. Okay, in order to get a 4 in your quiz, you will have to show me what proportion you set up, or your part-whole relationship. Let's really quick, let's do H and I. What percentage of people who eat breakfast regularly are male? So there are 300 people who eat breakfast regularly, and of those 300 people, it looks like 190 of them are male. So if I go ahead and I simplify this, that would be 63.3 repeating percent. And what percentage of the total number of people surveyed? Again, out of everybody that's been surveyed, that is 595. How many of them are females who do not eat breakfast regularly? So you go up here, they're female, they do not eat breakfast regularly. That is 165. So our percentage is 27.7%.